welcome back to Tea and a Butty podcast with me, Dominic.
And me, Erica.
Who was about to cough, but she saved it just in time. Well, we're back and we're going to be talking about our first impressions of each other's country on this episode.
Yes.
How we felt when we first came to, when Erica first went to Britain and I first came to the US.
Yeah, so we're going to cast our minds back.
It's another little kind of story time, I guess, but, first impressions, that sort of thing. So, I don't know, do you want to go first or?
No, you can go first. That's fine.
Okay. Well, mine was the first time I came over for like 3 months, didn't I? And it was November to January
2008.
Yeah, because I remember Barack Obama just been elected president. I got here just in time for that, didn't I? I got here for the election night.
The election, yeah.
And so I sat here. So that was pretty impressive. That was pretty cool to see that, happening in another country, a big election like that, America's first black president, and, everybody was all up in arms about that. On both sides.
Yes.
But my first impressions, getting off the plane, it was pretty cool because, it's just like, it's a different country. And, I'd been traveled before. I'd gone to Spain and
But
and
first
Greece.
of all, because this was your first time ever in America.
First time ever.
So
ever across the Atlantic Ocean.
What I want to know is just looking out the window.
Just looking out the window.
As you were, coming in.
I remember seeing the cars.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the highway, because, you come into Houston, you kind of circle Houston as you get in, because I got into George H.W. Bush into Continental Airport.
Yeah, because in Austin, we don't get, we didn't at that time, get flights.
International flights at all. No,
yeah.
you just kind of got, it was called International Airport.
Yeah.
For some reason, but you only got, connecting flights from Houston or whatever, you know. Domestic, as they call it.
Domestic flights, yeah. We don't have any direct flights out of the country. Well, we do now, to Britain, finally.
Yeah, it's Austin to London, and British Airways do that, and I think that's just for...
The Formula One.
The Formula One and ACL, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway, yeah. As I was coming in...
As
we digress, yeah. As I was coming into Houston, I remember looking out the window and seeing just all these cars and stuff on all these highways, and I just remember seeing the overpasses and cars on top of cars, roads on top of roads.
Oh yeah.
And I'd never really seen that before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something.
They don't have that anywhere in Britain.
Maybe maybe in the bigger cities.
We would call it maybe an interchange, or I don't even know what we call it. It's I don't even know if they actually. Because coming from the Texas Panhandle, I had never seen that until we moved down here to Austin. They do have it in Dallas.
Yeah, they have it in big cities in the UK. I mean, they've started to anyway. I mean, London, Manchester,
Basically,
Liverpool.
if you don't know what we're talking about, it's just where a bunch of different highways or maybe toll roads or interstates kind of converge. Yeah. And there's just a bunch of overpasses.
And they have to build you've got the ground level road, then they've got a bridge with another road on it that's going up into the sky, what do they call them, sky rises or whatever they call them.
Yeah. Skyways?
Skyways, yeah. And it was just kind of I was just seeing that as I was coming from the air, and I was just like, what? And there's so many cars.
Yeah. It looks very
And it looked very hot as well, because it was all I think I got in the afternoon, didn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
And it was
maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And it was November, so I'd come from London. It was very cold. I mean, Britain is very cold around that time, so I was coming into... I was just like, it's really hot here, First thing, when I got out into... When I met you at the airport, got through immigration, that was fine. They were fine with me. They were just like, oh yeah, because that was one thing I was most nervous about. Oh well, they were fine with me, but because it was my first time in the country, they had to look through my
right
thing.
Well, I
my suitcase.
Had to, but
they got a guy. They took me back to a room and they went through all my stuff because they thought, he looks like a guy who's going to be up to no good here, doesn't he?
Of course.
And I was carrying a load of toys. for your uncle because I,
That
you
doesn't
know,
look too weird.
they must have seen it on the scanner or whatever and thought, this
Yeah.
is weird. What is going on here? What
He's
is coming?
smuggling
He's smuggling a bunch of toys in. But it was, they were fine about it. It wasn't like they were like grilling me or anything, you know, interrogating me about what's this, what's that. You know, they did ask a couple of silly questions going, what's this for?
My uncle, by the way, is
Yeah.
he sculpts toys.
He sculpts toys and he asked me,
and he collects, ones that his friends made and stuff. And so there was a set of toys that was only available in the UK. So
yeah, it was at Tesco and I bought them and I said, well, instead of sending them and spending the shipping money, I'll just put them in my suitcase and come over and you can come pick them up. And he was like, yeah, that's great. So that's what I did. I filled a whole suitcase with like all these kind of like toys. I can't remember what they were now. They were like dinosaurs or something.
Yeah, like a play set.
Like a play sets.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And, you know, so it filled up an entire suitcase, really. I mean, I got some clothes in there, whatever. But yeah, I didn't think of it as weird when they pulled me and went through all my suitcases and in this room and stuff, you know. I at the time I didn't think it was weird, but yeah, they must have thought now that I was some weirdo. He's like, oh, what's all these toys? They didn't really ask about it. I was just said, oh, it's just a bunch of toys. I'm just bringing them over here for, you know, there's no bombs or anything. I think he even said that there's no bombs or anything.
You said that,
and he kind of laughed because you know it's just because he was just kind of like we started talking about the Beatles then.
Yeah,
because he turned out to be a big Beatles fan, and he's just like, oh yeah, you know. And I was like, yeah,
Beatles reference.
Beatles reference. So yeah, we clicked on that, you know. I got the bombs through, so it was okay. But yeah, anyway, digressing again because that's a little bit of a story time that one. Got through the customs and immigration and stuff, and you know, picked up my thing, and I met you at the airport. I can't remember where I met you because it was kind of. Houston Airport's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of like there's a whole. I don't remember. And then I was like, and it was just you I met, wasn't it? No one else was with you at the time. Yeah, it was just you. You driven all the way. Because like 3 hours to Houston.
What was your impression of the airport here? Did you find that it was just like any other airport?
It was kind of like any other airport, really. Yeah.
Really? I am asking because I have heard before from other international people that America's airports are like, they seem very old and dingy and
not
like
really
run
well
down.
maintained.
They're not, they're not maintained. They're not updated. They don't look modern.
Well, that's infrastructure again, see?
Yeah.
There's a big problem with infrastructure over here. I mean, to go into that thing, you know, like taxes aren't being spent on it. You know, roads aren't really being repaired except for the ones that are majorly needed, you know? Yeah. So, you know, sidewalks, for instance, aren't being completed because they can't be bothered doing them, you know, whatever. But anyway, yeah, the airport was fine. I mean, it was kind of dingy and dark. It was American. You know, now that I've been here for a long time, I can kind of see it's like an American government building, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like you go to the Social Security office, it's the same kind of thing, you know, it's just like like it looks like you could shoot a movie in there and you could say it was the 1980s. Yeah. That's how authentic it is. That's how a time capsule these airports and offices are.
That's a good thing, but okay.
Yeah, well, it's not, you know, because the people look like they were from the 1980s too, you know. But, you know, you know, I'd watched American films and stuff from the 1980s. And so, you know, that was like, oh, it's like in the movies, you know. It was, you know. But yeah, getting out into Houston and, you know, feeling the heat and stuff, I instantly was reminded of Spain.
Yeah, we went out from the
and I was just
airport
like, this
to the
is
car.
Like Spain.
And you were like, it feels like, or no, I think we stopped at a gas station or something.
Yeah, and I got out and I was just like, oh, it feels like Spain.
It feels like Spain. Yeah, I do remember that. That was like one of the first things you said about Texas. Yeah,
it's like, oh, Texas, it feels like Spain. So, you know, I can understand why, you know, Mexico and all that, you know, the Spanish and all that. So it's just like, oh, you know, it feels like Spain. And I think my dad called then and said, oh, did you get there okay? You know, you managed to get through on my mobile. I said, yeah, I did. Or your mobile, I guess it was. Because mine didn't work.
Yeah.
That was back in the days before smartphones and everything, everybody. All you kiddos. It was, I had a flip phone, you know. So it didn't work over here. But now smartphones, you got WhatsApp and all that, you know, it works in any country. But yeah, I remember telling that to her, oh, it's a bit like Spain. Over here, you know, it's like blue skies, it's really warm, you know.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do remember is we were driving, and I was like, what is that sound? You know, because we were driving on the thing. What is that sound? I remember you
commenting on it.
You're driving on the highway down here, and it sounds like you're on, you know, it's like, it was, because I'd just been on the plane, on the tarmac. I was like, are we about to take off? What is going on here? Because, you know, we're driving about, 70, 80 miles an hour down the thing, and it's just like...
From Houston back to Austin.
This big, like, hum going, woo, because of the road, I guess, because the road is the same sort of thing that they use to tarmac the runways. Yeah, so, I mean, it was just like... And I get why it's kind of like this kind of thing, because it's like, it's so hot over here all the time. They can't use, like... a different type of tarmac, the same one that they use in Britain, which is kind of porous and whatever. But yeah, that when it rains over here, it becomes slick, so everybody's just hydroplaning all the time. Yeah, but yeah, that the noise was really like weird.
You were like, it's so loud.
It's
Why is the road so loud? It's like, because it was just like woo, you know, this big like humming sound. I was just like, what is going on? You know, it's like, sounds like we're on a plane, you know. But yeah, and the you know, the roads were really wide. There was a lot of traffic. And I mean, I zonked out then. I fell asleep. We were going, and it was getting dark, so I fell asleep. But I didn't sleep on the plane out of excitement and all that. So, you know, I was just like, oh. But then we stopped. I think you woke me up and we stopped at Wendy's, didn't we? Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, so I got to my first meal in America was Wendy's.
I think it was...
There's a plug for you, Wendy's.
I think it was when we were almost
Free Wendy's
home.
for life. Well, when we were almost home,
I think so, yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to stop at Wendy's. What do you want? And I was like, I'll just have a chicken burger or something. And you're like, what, you mean like a chicken sandwich? And I was like, oh, do you want a chicken sandwich? And I was like, no, I want a chicken burger. I want a chicken sandwich. What are you talking about?
But yeah, I forgot that you did sleep most of the way. So I don't know what. Can you remember feeling anything about the distance of the drive?
I mean, the distance and the drive. I mean, I guess it was a long way, but the thing is, I'd already kind of mentally prepared myself for that.
Yeah.
It's something. When my dad got here for our wedding, he was something. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's so vast, isn't it? It's such a long drive," and you know, because people in Britain, when they drive, it's like they don't like to drive. It's like 20 minutes down the road is like, oh, that's long distance.
Yeah.
You know, it's a long way away.
Have a break.
Got to get out, have a break, you know, after 5 minutes of driving. You know, like my gran, for instance, I know she was an old woman and all that, but we get on the road and going somewhere, I don't know, like she was be coming down to Torquay with my Uncle Alan. And it was like 5 minutes out of, you know, from her house. She was like, oh, can we stop and have a cup of tea? We've been on the road for so long. Oh. And it's just like, yeah, we've only been driving 5 minutes.
Yeah, you say that you mentally prepared, but I remember you went to the office that I was working at the time.
Yes,
you went back and forth with me. I don't know, and like it was every day for a
and
the
traffic
weeks,
too. The traffic was another factor.
And my drive from our house to work was like 20 minutes each way, and that's with no traffic. And more like 40 minutes in rush hour.
40 minutes in rush hour.
Yeah.
Well,
so
nobody's rushing.
So it's about 20 minutes away with no traffic at all. And to me, it's just like nothing. I don't know. I'm just totally used to it.
Yeah.
And,
for
and
me,
oh my God, the moaning. Yes. Like, oh, you were so...
This is so long. Why are people driving this distance?
Yeah. Why do you work so far? Why do you live so far from where you work? It's like, is it? It's not that far.
Because I could walk...
Actually.
When I was in Britain, I could walk to where I worked. You know?
Yeah.
It was literally like 10-minute walk, maybe. And that was nothing to me.
Yeah.
You know? But this was like a 40-minute drive.
You were like falling asleep and...
I was falling asleep.
It wasn't 40 minutes driving. Like, it was 40 minutes stop and go, stop and go, stop and go.
Stop and go.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean,
even
traffic in Austin is like LA, apparently.
Even when there was no traffic, though, you were like, oh, God, this is just so long.
This is so long. And no, it still kind of gets me. You know, when we go to the post office now, that's only like, what, 20 minutes away?
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, there's no traffic.
10 or 15 even.
And there's no traffic. And the main post office.
Oh, you mean the that was 20 minutes, yeah.
Not the one that up here, but the main post office. Sometimes
right.
you have to ship stuff out. And it's just like, it is, you know, we're driving, we're getting on the highway, we're getting off. And I'm just like, this is a long way. And it's funny.
You are used to it now.
I'm used to it, but sometimes I'm just like, oh, this is a long drive. I don't like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like my brain goes back into like...
we just went to San Antonio this past weekend. It's an hour and a half to get there. To me, it seems like...
Yeah, that went by. That went by fast.
Yeah.
That we just went to San Antonio that went by really fast.
And came back after just a few hours.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we went up to the Panhandle, 9 hours in a car, 9 hours back.
Yeah, the next day.
The last time we did that, though, I was, no. Don't have to do that for 9 more years. But anyway.
Yeah. First impression.
That was my first impressions, really, you know, of America. It was very big, it was very vast. It was like, you know, there was a lot of, the drive-through, everything was weird, too.
I can remember we went to KFC, I think, like the next day.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, for something. I don't know where we were going to go.
Might have been fried chicken.
And I remember you commenting about KFC. I can't remember.
They didn't have chips. And I was like, that was weird. And the mashed potato and gravy, what's all that about? Yeah, I mean, I remember KFC was like, oh yeah, it was really, look at that, you know, because... I don't know, I hadn't had KFC in a while for some reason. I hadn't, you know, because I used to get it a lot in Britain, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I was really, you know, taken aback by kind of like how good it was over here. I mean, it's only one down the road, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
So yeah.
That was your first impressions of America? Nothing else you can think of? He was quite sour. Let me just divulge this information to you guys. I don't know if it was like a homesickness or what, but you were here about 3 months the first time you came, and you were quite sour a lot of the time.
Sour.
Yeah, you had like a sour.
It was more the American enthusiasm. Adjusting to the American enthusiasm for things, because you know, when I was here, it's just like, let's go here and let's go there and let's go see everything and let's get excited about it, yeah, you know, like we're constantly in Disneyland, and I'm just like, no, I'm tired, I just got off the plane, you know, I'm just like, it's a long drive, you know. I was very set in my ways back then, you know. It was just very much like, you know.
I think we went to San Antonio the day after you
came. The day after,
That's
yes.
Why we
an hour and a
KFC
half in the car. I was very tired all the time.
And it was like, my mom
we were going.
See everything.
Yeah, I know. They were very excited. And I was like, cool about everything. I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, you know. And, you know, it was just like they were getting a bit annoyed because I wasn't like over enthusiastic about it. And that's another, like a British trait, that is. It's just like, so how are you finding it here? And it's like, it's okay. And they're like, I mean, it's okay. Yes. Why aren't you raving about this place? What is the matter?
Sounds like you don't like it.
It's okay. What does that mean? You know, it's like, it's good. Yeah, I like it. What do you mean it's good? Yeah, I like it. You need to be going, whoa, it's great. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, you
it's amazing.
You kept things to yourself, things that you did think, oh, that was pretty cool. Like, I don't know, were you
I was being
trying to play it cool?
I was diplomatic. I was being diplomatic because a lot of...
and you would mention it later.
Because I'd make like a joke or something, and, you know, your mum or whoever else was around would get it. They'd be like, oh, you know,
yeah,
he's being a bit rude there. And it's just like, no, I'm just joking. It's okay, you know?
Like, I didn't even realize, though, that you had never had banana pudding. Like, you kept
never
that
had
to
banana.
Oh, you kept that to yourself until we mentioned it in a podcast. I never knew that this was your first time having banana pudding. Yeah,
I can't remember.
Like, if it had been me, this is the difference between a British person and an American person. Like, if I went to Britain and they
she's never been to Britain. Everybody,
and they gave me trifle for the first
Joking.
time. I'm going to go, oh, I've never had this before. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's delicious. I love this. You know, you're going to know that I've never had it before. I'm not going to just quietly eat it, like as if I've eat this all the time, and just play it cool.
I wasn't doing that. I was just like, I'm sure I must have said, "Oh, this is something I've never had before."
No.
Oh no, I didn't say it because you were probably talking about something else, and you just assumed I'd had it before. Until you ask, "Have you ever had this before?" Then, I don't think I said, "Yeah, I've had it before," or anything like that.
Okay, so what did you just change the subject there for a minute? What did you think about just the way things looked in America?
They were new.
Obviously, we're saying in America. Obviously, we're talking about Texas,
Austin, Texas, to be precise. Yeah,
because the first time you came, we did go to Dallas. You flew into Houston. That was the only actual time in and back out of Houston. That was the only. Actually, that's the only time you've been to Houston at all, isn't
really,
it? Yeah. But we did go to San Antonio. We did go to Dallas. We did go to the Texas Panhandle. All your first.
We literally went all over Texas in the 3 months that I was here. Because, usually people come here for like a month and they stay in Austin. Or, they'll come here for like 2 weeks and they'll stay in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine I'd come here for 2 weeks in 2008 and we'd managed to fit all that in that time, because we went up to the Panhandle for Christmas, and that was cool to me.
Yeah,
that was really cool to me, because it was like, oh yeah, this is like great, because the sun was going down and it was flat and you could see the sun, and the sunset was great, and you could just see all these like the silhouettes of all like the oil derricks. It was like real Texas. It was like, oh yeah, this is what people take pictures of.
Right. I think we did. We took pictures.
We took pictures
of you, by the Route 66 sign, and there was a genuine tumbleweed blew across the road.
Genuine tumbleweed, yeah. It was, and I remember telling people about that when I got back home, and they were just like, "What?" And I showed them all the pictures and said, "Oh, that is it. That is the dream, man."
You stopped on the side of the road and got your dad some cotton from someone's field.
Cotton fields back home. It's just like, it was. Yeah, that was cool. That was a good thing. I was all into that. But I
mean, did
everything looked different. I mean, it was. But
it looked different than Britain.
I mean, the first thing I remember thinking is, it's not very green over here. It's very desert-like.
Oh, I remember you saying that, yeah.
And, you were like, oh, there's green. It's winter. It's winter, but, it gets, and it'll get green in the summer. And I'm like, and I've been here 10 years now, and it doesn't really get as green as it does.
It gets quite green here. I mean, it's green.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just like, it's a different shade of green. I don't know. It's like a darker kind of like shade. I don't know. People who've lived in Austin or America or Texas, all that, the green is different in Britain.
I mean, I think it's different.
It's a different color green.
I think what you were talking about is just like, even when you live in a town, you can kind of see. Well, it's quite hilly in Britain. This is what
very hilly.
This is what I'm imagining in my head when I'm saying this. You can stand on a hill inside the town and see to the outside, to the edges of the town. And around all the edges of the towns in Britain, there are fields.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and so you can see the greenery in that way.
Yeah, this is like in Wales now, yeah.
Yeah. So here, things are, well, not as hilly where we are anyway.
We're in central Texas, so we're in the...
much more spread out. Like,
we're not in the hill country.
Unless you go downtown up in one of the skyscrapers, you cannot see the edge of Austin.
No.
And it's a big spread out city, so, you don't see that much greenery because you're in the city.
Yeah.
But driving from here to San Antonio is not really a good example because it's mostly filled in with towns and cities in between.
I mean, it's all being filled kind of in,
And driving to the Panhandle's not a good example because things do dry up as you get further north toward the Panhandle. So, yeah, I mean, I can see what you mean. It's not as green, yeah.
It's not as green, yes. I mean, that was something I was just like, oh, it's not as green. And I mean, it was very hot here. My first summer here.
Oh, it was so good you didn't come for your very first time, like dead in the middle of summer.
Because, I mean...
Because winter was warm enough to
Winter
you.
was warm enough to me. It was like, I don't know, what would you say? It was like 20 degrees centigrade Celsius in
I don't know Celsius. Don't ask me.
40 degrees is 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
I know that. So it's like, it was like 70 over here. 70 degrees Fahrenheit over here.
Yeah, probably.
People who can do the conversion rate on that. 70
Mm-hmm.
to like 80 it was,
Yeah.
And in Britain, it's like 40 degrees, 40 to 50.
Yeah.
Maybe 50, in winter time. And, it's like, oh, it's not winter yet. And I'm just like, yeah, it is winter. It should be winter. It should be cold now,
Yeah.
But it barely gets cold over here. I mean, for like maybe a month in January, maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's it,
So things looked different.
Things look different,
but
yeah.
Did they look like you were imagining them to look?
I don't know, really. I think so. I think they looked how they were imagining. I mean, when I went to San Antonio and stuff, I mean, it just kind of like depends, really. Yeah, I was surprised by the amount of pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Like, and the huge amounts of like, they're like so high off the ground, the suspension and everything. I thought they were so huge. And I'm just like, why do people drive them around?
Yeah, I remember you commenting on the number of pickup trucks.
There's so many pickup trucks here.
And
It's
also
like everybody's
just
got a pickup
cars.
truck.
I remember you commenting on that too.
Old cars too, yeah, because
like beat up.
Beat up cars, yeah, beat up cars that are like falling apart on the highway. Like we've got like a door missing, and like everything, the whole body's been kind of ripped off in some way, and they're just driving like a shell,
Yeah.
And it's just like, how are they allowed to drive this,
Yeah.
And of course there was people on their phones. That was another thing, driving. People on their phones.
I remember my mom freaked you out because she was eating when we were driving. We stopped and got that KFC, and we were driving to San Antonio. And she was eating
while she was driving. Yes. It's like that she would have lost her license in the UK by now. It was just because it was just kind of like, because she was eating it on the thing. I mean, it's still kind of like pulling her.
Because nobody does that kind of stuff in Britain.
Well, it's illegal.
Yeah.
It's completely illegal.
But I mean, you shouldn't do that kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't know if it's
driving.
illegal over here.
No, it's not.
To do your makeup.
You're not supposed to be on the phone.
Because it's distracted driving. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not good. You're not supposed to, but it's like in Texas, so things are so far away. People spend a lot of time in their cars.
People spend a lot of time in their cars, and also it's like they live in their cars. They got their crap in their car all the time. They got cup holders in cars.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that. It's just like they don't really build them into cars in Britain.
Yeah.
Maybe one, and that's it.
Yeah. I remember you also commented on, speaking of pickup trucks that were carrying stuff piled high.
Oh, piled high. Again, I mean, this is all majorly traffic things, because, I was like, the amount of driving that you have to do in Texas is legendary. It's like, there's so much driving.
Yeah.
So you see everybody with all this crap piled on them. And, like, the driving of the houses down to, like, somewhere. Those trucks that were driving, like, massive prefabricated houses on the highway. I'm just like, what?
Just half a house just passes by.
House, and then the other half comes right after it. I'm just like, what is going on? So it's just moving like a little turtle on its back, just like that. It's like, it's actually like, it's not like a camper or anything, it's not like a Winnebago or whatever
it's
you
genuinely
call it.
It's genuinely,
it's like a trailer park house.
Uh-huh.
And it's half, and it's built, and they're just like, they're just transporting it down to wherever, and you don't really see that.
How could you describe that to British people?
I think it does happen in Britain now. I think they are starting to do that sort of thing. But
prefabricated homes, and they're literally split down the middle. They put them together once they get them onto the lot.
Yeah. Oh, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And they just have a sign on the back of them that say wide load.
Wide load.
It's like, yeah, so we're going to hang out into your lane. So, might want to be careful.
I don't know. Yeah, it was just such an eye-opener, that was.
So how did you find just the people in general? Same as Britain?
Well, I mean, much more friendlier.
Yeah.
The customer service over here, it was much more friendlier. people were way friendly, you know, and I mean, in Austin, they didn't really take too much notice of my accent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you keep saying I have a mild accent anyway, so, you
Yeah.
know, people didn't really pick up on it. But, I mean, obviously some people would and go, oh, where you from? Australia, you know? It's just like, oh, it's Australian guy there, yeah, that guy. But it's just, yeah, I mean, they were much friendlier, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably have to do, since I've waffled on a bit, we'll probably have to do yours.
Yeah, so we'll pick up the next podcast. Do you have anything else to add?
I think that's it. My first impression was America. It was good. You'll like it here. You better come here. Don't move to Austin, though. Everybody's moving to Austin.
No, we
So ever since I moved here, everybody wants to move here.
We genuinely have a T-shirt in Austin that says, "Welcome to Austin. Please don't move here." And then in parentheses at the bottom, I hear Dallas is nice.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, that wasn't really... Oh, just as a little aside note. The Heritage Village was good. Seeing where JFK was shot was good. You know, that was pretty cool. But other than that...
These are all your first impressions.
Yeah, other than that, it was just like, wah, you know.
Yeah. I like Dallas. It's pretty, but I think...
San Antonio was much cooler with the Alamo and everything.
I think the weather is probably the best thing in Dallas. The weather's nicer. It doesn't get quite as hot as it does here. Quite as hot and humid, at least.
I don't know, yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so...
Anyway, so...
We'll pick up...
We'll pick up what Erica's first impressions of Britain were, you know.
Yeah.
On our next podcast, so...
Yeah.
I've waffled on far too much, and I mean, maybe I'll talk about my own experiences again sometime.
Yeah.
How it's been. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so follow us on social media. Do all the things.
Do all the things.
You know
buy
what
us a
to do.
coffee. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Do it.
Rate us, review us.
Rate us, review us, love us.
Love us.
Love
I was
us
gonna
and
say
hate
that
us.
too.
Haters gonna love, and lovers gonna hate.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah, we're
It's
getting
time to
into
go.
rap songs now.
It's time to go.
It's my first impressions.
Time to go. Goodbye.
Goodbye.